Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. Thank you for choosing to be with us this morning. Now, while the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and intersexual community across Africa is still facing intense discrimination and prejudice, one cannot deny there is huge activism in place to fight the challenges the LGBTI community across the continent endure on a daily basis. Organizations such as Out in Africa are amongst those activists who are doing so in the form of moving pictures. The new film titled While You Weren't Looking highlights the intensity of trying to find a voice and identity in a world that is hardly accommodating. Joining me now to speak about the film, which is currently on set nationally, is a film director, Catherine Stewart. Catherine, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You know, before I even talk about the significance of the title, this is such an amazing film that is happening at the right time when we should be really talking about a serious issue.
You know, we wanted to tell a story from points of view and including voices and perspectives that hasn't really been seen in mainstream cinema or even on TV very much in South Africa. And ours is a country where diversity is our strength. And so any voices or any stories from points of view that aren't known, that bring wisdoms that we can all have, is a win for everybody.
The significance of the title.
Well,
While You Weren't Looking.
I think the story is about identity and about everybody having the freedom to explore and individuate themselves and express themselves, their sexuality, their identity, and that in our country we should aspire for everyone to have the freedom to do that with a sense of comfort and joy in finding out who they are and expressing that. So While You Weren't Looking is a little bit about the parts of yourself that you don't even know, that you perhaps need to explore, and the sides in your relationship where perhaps there's some hidden corners and things about yourself and your partner that you don't know. And perhaps in your history, as we grow older, we change our identity. But that doesn't mean that who we once were in our youth isn't still part of us. So it's about the hidden parts of ourselves, the places you don't always look. But in fact, there are riches in there, in those corners where we don't look.
So there's complexity and there's levels of complexity that you're actually talking about. And like the subject matter, we are all complex individuals.
Yeah.
When you're a director and you've got to find that voice and you've got to find that look and feel, we're showing some of the images now as you're talking. Talk to me about finding the tools, the actors, to be able to tell that story in such a way that it has to reflect the reality that's real for everybody, not only the African continent, but globally.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing process. First, finding the stories that we wanted to tell. And it is an ensemble piece. So we have these amazing actors, 6, 8 really stellar South African actors, and it's an ensemble piece. So the different stories intertwine to tell a more complex portrait of our community and of our society. And some of these characters are unlike any character you've seen on screen before. So we thought, who's going to play this character? Because we've never seen an actor playing a character like this. And it was wonderful auditioning and seeing actors becoming excited about these fresh characters and playing someone that they'd never played before. And it felt as if the character called out to the right actor. And once the right actor walked in and auditioned for that role, we knew that we had that character.
I don't want to ask the traditional question around the challenges when you're faced with this kind of production, but let's maybe talk about the reaction to this production, because it is on national circuit at the moment. But sometimes when you see the end product, you have no clue of the process that led up to it.
It was an amazing process. We called out for scripts from the LGBTQI community, and we got various scripts, and then we thought these are some stories that can work together and resonate with each other. And then it was a process of casting, but the biggest thing always in making a film is raising the money. And we got the money, and we are so grateful for the National Lottery Commission, because they funded us, and the Department of Trade and Industry, who also gave us money with their rebate, and the other foundation. So once we had the budget, we then had a deadline, and we had to make it in a year, which is actually very quick for making a film. So then it's the usual, you find locations, our wonderful cinematographer, and this incredible crew that becomes like a family, and you all collaborate, and it turns into something that you could never have imagined when you first set out on the journey.
Is it too early to ask the feedback, the reaction that you've received? Is it too early? Because It's just come out of circulation.
You know, at the premiere, it was an amazing response. We had this premiere and we got a standing ovation. The audience stood up and just started clapping, and people came up to us in tears and just hugged us, me and the actors and the producers, and said, thank you for making this film. I think there's a thirst and a hunger for different kinds of stories and different voices that haven't been heard.
Did you want to tell a story, or did you have an agenda? Did you want something at the end of the day to walk out with a specific message?
I mean, I think the message of every film is about a common humanity, because you want the people who watch the film to identify with the characters in the film, even if they come from a different walk of life completely. And ours is a country that often has big contrasts in it, but the film is about people finding relationships and intimacy and a commonality over the divisions between them. So I think that's always what film is about.
Okay, we've run out of time, unfortunately. We could continue with this conversation. Director Catherine Stewart speaking to us about While You Were Looking, which has been screened at festivals across the world and is an award-winning film, by the way. It scooped the award at the Pink Apple Lesbian and Gay Film Festival in Zurich, with the LGBTQI community celebrating the Johannesburg Pride later this month. This film couldn't be released at a better time. If you watched it, let us know what you think. It's Morning Live at SABC. That's it. We take an ad break. You don't go anywhere.